Okay ครับ Good morning everyone and I'm going to start the lecture for today, right? And the topic that we are going to discuss today is about the history of engineering. Okay, everyone see the screen, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. And first of all, we need to know about the definition of the engineer. And because you are the first year, so it would be nice to know what exactly you are studying and the history behind the topic that you are going to study, that we are going to study. So the word engineer, okay, is started to use in the middle of the 14th century. It's come from this one, engineer. The meaning is about the construction of the military engines. Okay. And this word is derived from the Latin. It's engineer, like this. You can see on the screen. It gives us the general sense of the inventor, designer. Okay. Something like that. I take this one from a website called Etymology Online. You can go to that website and find more about the English word. It gives you the root of the word, and maybe you can get to know more about the Latin words or something like that. And we can go back in the time and starting with the civilization. Anyone can tell me what is the meaning of the civilization? Rodi.
ครับผม
What is the civilization?
Civilization
Any idea? เรารู้จักคำว่า civil. What is a civil?
I know in Thai it's about something that people just make.
You mean construction or something like that? Or
Yeah.
what? Okay, thank you. And anyone else? And Pan. What?
Yes, I think civilization is
Yes.
like a group of people that living together in the same place.
All right,
Same
that's
area.
a good explanation. Thank you. Another one, please. Putipong. Putipong ครับ
ครับ
What is the meaning of civilization?
Civilization
ภาษาไทยแปลว่าอะไรครับ
มันไม่ค่อยชัวร์อาจารย์ มันแปลได้หลายอย่าง
พูดมาสักอันหนึ่งลองดูครับ What is the meaning of civilization? มีไหม Why do we hold something like the pyramids and
something visible that by association or convention
I'm not sure what you mean. Anyway, thank you. That's okay. And actually, civil is like you stay in a specific place เหมือนโยธาครับงานโยธางานก่อสร้างนะครับ civil มันคำเดียวกันนะครับ but we need to realize that in the past before the historic time people just live right in the we just move from place to place we follow animals try to kill animals and make food from them right but when we settle at some specific place for example in this figure in Egypt we start living at that we settle down at a specific place usually is nearby the river in this case a Nile River right and that means we can construct the living place we can stay together and that is the main thing that is what we call the civilization มันคือการอยู่ร่วมกันเราไม่ต้องระหกระเหินไม่ต้องเดินทางไปตามไปเรื่อยๆนะครับไม่เล่ร่อนเรียกว่าอย่างนั้นนะครับเนี่ยพอเราอยู่กับที่ได้แล้วก็สร้างของได้นะครับสร้างอันนี้คือที่มาของ civilization and this is the word civilized is from 16th century is bring out of barbarism คือไม่เป็นคนป่าคนเถื่อนอีกต่อไปนะครับ from Latin words it's a civilis relating to citizen ก็คือประชากรนะครับ relating to public life benefiting a citizen popular affable นะครับก็คือย้ายจากอยู่ป่ามาอยู่เมืองนั่นแหละเนี่ยเรียก civilization and this is the timeline okay we start from the 3,500 BC ทุกคนรู้จัก BC ใช่ไหมครับ before Christ time ก่อนคริสตกาลนะครับ 3,500 BC this is a civilization called Sumerian and it's about around 3,000 BC 3,000 BC is called we have ancient Egypt okay, and you can see this timeline and up to this one this is Roman Empire is starting with the period of time about 0 because 0 BC or 0 AD is the Christ ศักราช in Thai is คริสตศักราช AD but BC is before Christ ก็ก่อนคริสตกาลนะครับนั้นในยุคโรมันนะครับ Roman Empire is a kind of intervene between the before Christ time and the after Christ time and you can see you can hear a lot of the story about Jesus in this period but before this we can see on this scale we have a lot of empire for example this one the Babylonian Empire about a few years ago we got crazy about the Babylonian calendar right you remember that if we at the end of the Babylonian the calendar gonna bring us the Adum the civilization can be divided into this period we're gonna start with the prehistoric and prehistoric mean we have a few records we try to study what happened in the past you know what I mean for example Egypt right Egypt we don't know exactly how they built the pyramid we still studying it we have found a lot of record in the ancient language right and this is called prehistoric it's not well recorded but in the ancient time this is a period of time that Greek and Roman dominate the world. And the period of time is about 600 BC to 400 AD 600 ปีก่อนคริสตกาลถึงประมาณ400 ปีก่อนคริสตกาล This is called ancient time. And this is the long period of time. The next one is Middle Ages. พวกเราเคยได้ยินยุคกลางไหมครับเนี่ยเคยได้ยินไหมครับยุคกลางนี่ก็เรียกยุคมืดนะครับ Middle Age นะครับ Middle Age lasts about 1,000 years. It's from 500 AD, around 500 AD to 1500 AD. Let's say 5th century to 15th century. It's a long period of time. There is nothing happen much in this period. Okay. And after that, we go to the Renaissance, which is lie between the 14th centuries to 17th centuries, and Baroque between 17th century to 18th century. And we come to the modern era, which is in the between the 19th century to 20th century. And now we in this period, it's a kind of social movement, a new social movement. We call it postmodern. Okay. Any questions? I think it's nice to know the period of time that the human race go through. Okay, we start with the prehistory. Right, we have a Stone Age, which is dated back into the 10,000 BC, and Bronze Age and Iron Age. And you can see there's a lot of tools making in that period. In the Stone Age, humans discover how to use rocks as tools. In the past, we don't have tools, right? And this can be, according to the definition of civilization, we cannot regard this as the civilization yet, right? Because you make tools, but it doesn't mean that the people stay in the safe place. People stay together. They just make tools, right? So in this period of time, you see, it's about the making tools. Use rock, use soft metal, and use the different kind of the iron, something like that. And on the left, this is a figure that depicts the tools in the past. And we have also the development of some tools, like on the left, apart from the tool for hunting, we also have wheel. People develop wheel. And also this one on the center of the slide, this is a clay tile used to record in the merchants, you need to do it's like a calculator, let's say, and also the windmill. In the 18th BC to the 17th BC, this is the first guy. His name is Hammurabi. Hammurabi is the 6th king of the Babylonian. This is regarded as the very early record about the development of the role that related to the engineering work. We can read this together. If a builder build a house for a man and do not make its construction firm, and the house which he has built collapse and cause the death of owner of the house, that builder shall be put to death. Okay. If it caused the death of the son of the owner of the house, they shall put to death a son of the builder. If it caused the death of the slave of the owner of the house, he shall give the owner of the house a slave of equal value. This is a good thing to be discussed. Let me highlight this. And if it's destroyed property, he shall restore whatever is destroyed. And because he did not make the house which he built firm and is collapsed, he shall rebuild the house which collapsed at his own expense. If a builder build a house for a man and do not make its construction meet the requirements and a well fall in, that builder shall strengthen the wall at his own expense. Right? It's like if let's say the builder, in this case an engineer, if engineer do a wrong thing, he need to pay back exactly the same thing. That means, this is interesting, I mentioned already, a slave, right? The first two one, if one dead, you need to give the debt, right? But for the slave, you don't need to give us the debts to the other slave, but you just give a slave of the equal value. That means in this point, in that period of time, we don't see the slave as a living thing. We just see a slave as a thing. You know what I mean? The slave is not a human. Slave is just a thing you can give to each other. It's like money in your pocket, but it just can't move. It just can breathe. It can eat. That's it. Like it's like an animal. Okay. So this is the first record in the history. And next, this is the it's called analog computer, but actually from the record, it's a kind of clock. And you use this machine to predict the astronomical positions. It means the position of the stars, okay. And also the weather in the whole year. And from this design is used as the Olympic, the ancient Olympic symbol. It's like a lot of a circle put together. This is a reconstruction of the same mechanism. This is a real pig, but I think not many people can realize what is what. Right. So in the early period of the civilization, in this case is the Babylonian engineers, is focused on the building the water supply, okay, and bridge, and pyramid is another one. I think it's amazing to think about how people can build this kind of a construction 3,000 years ago. We also have the hieroglyphy. Hieroglyphy is a paper, it's a record, and drawing to record what people do, what people did in the past. Right, you can see here, this is a city called Sarkasik. And it's a bit far away from the water source, and they just make a canal, right? Make a canal to bring the fresh water to the city. And this is a development of a pyramid. On the left, this is a base size. This is a base, this is the inner side, inner part of the pyramid, and it took a few time, 2 years to build up. And as you can see here, this is the year 2980 BC, right? They start building up to the 200 foot. And when 80 years passed, this is the year 2900 BC, they built up to the 481 foot. And this is the layout of the Great Pyramid of Giza. Used about 80 years. But you can think about this in the period of a human life. In the past, the life expectation of a human is about 40 years. So this should take about two or three generations to build this one. And this is a photo. I take it from the Wikipedia. Sorry, I take it from Google Map. You can just go to the Google Map and search a Pyramid of Giza. You can have a virtual tour around the pyramid. Okay. And because of the size of the construction is huge, you can compare the size of human to a stone like this. Yeah, this is a stone, and this is a human. It cannot imagine even in the today technology that how human can build this kind of construction. So there is a kind of conspiracy theory saying that actually this is not a human construction. This is not built based on the human technology, right? It's just built by an aliens and bring it to the desert. Anyway, we don't find the engine, we don't find anything. The discovery until today is just a stone rock. Okay. We going next to the period of the ancient. In the ancient period, we can say the sign happened. What is the meaning of sign? Anyone please tell me a little bit? What is the meaning of sign? ตะวัน
Okay.
ปันครับครับ Okay.
It is an explanation or a theory that explain how things happen in the world and in solar system.
All right. Thank you. Actually, sign is a procedure. ขออีกสัก2 คน ชาดาทัน ผมอ่านชื่อถูกไหมครับ
ค่ะ
ชาดาทันครับ What is the meaning of science? Why we call the people in this period start science?
อธิบายเป็นภาษาไทยใช่ไหมคะ
ภาษาไทยก็ได้ครับ ถ้าเกิดเป็นภาษาอังกฤษได้ก็พยายามดูครับ
เมื่อกี้อาจารย์ถามว่าวิทยาศาสตร์คืออะไรใช่ไหมคะหรือว่า
ใช่ครับ
ก็เป็นสิ่งที่แบบว่าคิดขึ้นมาเพื่อหาคำตอบสิ่งต่างๆที่เกิดขึ้นในโลก
โอเคครับ ขอบคุณมากครับ ป๊อป ไม่มีไมโครโฟน ลูกศิกา มีไมโครโฟนเตชินครับเตชินครับ
ครับ
What is the meaning of science เราเรียนวิทยาศาสตร์มาอะไรคือวิทยาศาสตร์
อะไรนะครับ
อะไรคือวิทยาศาสตร์ครับ
ค้นคว้าทดลองพิสูจน์
ค้นคว้าทดลองพิสูจน์โอเคนี่คือขอบคุณมากครับ yes three of you give a good idea of the science but if you search for the meaning of science you're gonna find that it's a kind of procedure it's a kind of a process that you can find truth okay and so if you are into this science that means you need to construct the system to give you an answer. For example, you need to start with give the hypothesis, right? And you need to prove the thing through the hypothesis. You need to prove that the existence of something. This is the way that science do. In the previous period of the ancient, we don't have that kind. We just do. So there's a lot of the voodoo thing, right? พวกไสยศาสตร์ต่างๆ You do this, you did this, and you're gonna have this or something like that. But in science, you need to repeat. And in this period, we have the humans started to have that kind of process. So we start to study it's called the geometry, like the definition of geometry, and we study the physics. Okay, and there's a lot of famous philosophers, for example, Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, and Archimedes. This is very famous for Archimedes is famous for mathematics. And he did a lot of the invention. For example, this one on the left, the figure, I believe you see it quite clearly. This is called Archimedes screw. Archimedes screw used to pump the water upward. So you have one guy spinning this wheel and the water just go through the shaft up here. It's kind of pump. And we still use it until today. It's called Archimedes screw. And also this one. This is a weapon that Archimedes invented. He invented a mirror. The meaning of mirror is the polished polished piece of metal. Try to reflect the sun ray and focus the sun ray onto the enemy chips in this case. Like you can see in this photo, you have a ray, and when you focus ray, and the chip of the enemy just burn out. There's many things happen in the past. The water wheel and the measurement system like this. As well as something for the internet and entertaining. In this one is called puppet. So you can enjoy with the shadow of the puppet. When you spin this around, you can see the puppet movement. So it's like a movie now today. Okay. So in this period, It's kind of a crossing between the Christ and living period. And there's a lot of the engineering work, and usually they focus on the water supply. This is the aqueducts of water supply. They use construction to draw the water into fresh water to the city. And also this one is sanitary system ระบบสุขาภิบาลนะครับ sanitary system, and also apply the knowledge of building things to the military, have a weapon, all these things. We have a catapult that can fly the stone into the long distance. This knowledge is the basic thing that make the Roman Empire great. Yeah. You can see here, right? Have the wheel, bucket wheel. Okay. Any questions? Okay, we just go on to the next one. In the next period, after the end of the ancient era, we came into the Middle Ages. In this period, there's the word engineer. This appear in the record. I don't know exactly the book, but there is the record that this word is happened. And they use the technology in that period to use the water wheel to draw the energy from the running water and do work, and use to make the sugar refinery and make soap and perfume distilling. Okay, in China, they started develop the clock and astronomical instrument. And the thing is, once we settle in the city like that, we need to do the agriculture. The agriculture is the very crucial thing that make the people stay together, right? So all the technology focus on the development of the water supply and agriculture. This is a very advanced technology. On the right hand side, anyone know this clock? ใครรู้จักนาฬิกานี้บ้างครับ มีไหม? You can see the clock is not divided into 12. It's divided into the different thing, right? You can see this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, right? It goes on, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So this clock counts as a 24 hours. So it represents a day. Okay, and you can see here, this is a kind of month. You can see this is a zodiac emblem, right? เป็นจักรราศี and you have this kind of the division. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or something like that. And this is the clock that is called astronomical clock. เป็นนาฬิกาที่ใช้สำหรับดูฤดูกาลครับนี่เป็นseasonal clock คือ มันสามารถบอกได้ว่าตอนนี้เข้าสู่ฤดูกาลอะไรแล้วนะครับ and you can go to see this clock in Prague. And as I mentioned earlier, the period of the Middle Age is 1,000 years, but the technology is not developed much. And the thing that the technology that is developed in that period, usually mainly about the prediction of the season. And we then go through the Middle Age, and now we reach in the period of the Renaissance, 14th to 17th century. There are two guys that need to be mentioned here, which is Johannes Gutenberg and Leonardo da Vinci. รู้จักสองคนนี้ไหมครับ Gutenberg is the guy who invents the printing machine, เครื่องพิมพ์ and by his invention this paid a huge impact to the society because before his time people in Europe usually mainly take Christianity. Okay. And when you want to study Christianity, that means you need to go to study with priest, and it's obvious for the lower class people has a very difficult to study the Bible. So it's kind of a reserve. Even the religion is a reserve for the high class people. But from the printing machine that Gutenberg invented, that means he can produce the huge amount of books in the low price, right? Once the book is in the low price, that means that the low class people can own one for his own, right? And this also pay a lot of impact, a huge impact by means of it's called the literacy, การอ่านออกเขียนได้ People in the past try to study through the Bible, right? When the book are produced in the huge amount with a lower price, people can access to the Bible. That means people can read. So this is a huge impact to the people. For the Da Vinci, this is one of the greatest artists. He did a lot of things. He's also regarded as an engineer, inventor, and architect. We can see what he did. It's not just Leonardo da Vinci. There's many more people that I'm pretty sure you guys know them already. This is the people in the Renaissance period. Copernicus, right? You know that Copernicus, who suggests that actually the solar system didn't have the Earth at the center, right? But rather has the sun at the center. And Galileo, you know that already. Robert Boyle, you know that? Robert Boyle, กฎของบอยรู้จักไหมครับใน thermodynamic กฎของบอย Robert Boyle lived in the period of the 17th century. Robert Hooke รู้จักใช่ไหมครับ Robert Hooke กฎของ Hooke เกี่ยวกับสปริง as well as Newton Sir Isaac Newton นะครับนิวตันก็เกิดอยู่ในยุคนี้นะครับรวมถึงThomas Newcomen นะครับคนนี้เป็นคนคิดค้น steam engine ก Da Vinci is one of the greatest artists you can see here in this slide. There's a lot of sketch that he designed. This one is the diving mask. You can use have mask and also buoyant, ห่วงยาง buoyant. And he's also one who present the three-dimensional drawing before his period. If you go to the church, the ancient church, which is in the prehistoric time, you can see the different style of drawing. It's like in the playing card. You know what I mean? In the playing card, you represent king, queen as a two-dimensional drawing, right? This is a very old style of drawing, but what the Da Vinci did is he proposed a new way of drawing. He can draw to represent the object in 3 dimensions, like this. Yeah, this is this discovery in that period. This is Galileo discovered the gravitational acceleration. That's what we call G today. Right? He discovered this before Newton, but Newton is more scientific. The discovery of Newton is more scientific because he can explain in the more systematic way. Galileo just say, we have this thing, but there's no proof. Right? And Pascal and Torricelli, these two guys developed the theory on the hydrostatic. Okay, and he developed the barometer, that the device that we use to measure the atmospheric pressure today. Robert Boyle studied the expansion, the behavior of the matter. Okay, once you have matter, you inject the energy and it's expand or it's contract. And this is the Robert Boyle's study. And Galileo is one of my favorite scientists in the Renaissance time. He's very, very keen in studying. The one thing that he invented is a telescope like this. He got the inspiration from the Dutch telescope that used to navigate in Navy, right? When you, it's like in the pirate movie, you need to have the telescope, right? To observe what happened in the far distance, right? And Galileo want to extend the length of the sight from the telescope. So he went to Venice, you know Venice? เมือง Venice นะครับ He went to Venice and find a very good lens maker, and he designed his own telescope using very high quality lens. And one night he went into the outdoor and he pointed his telescope into the sky and he find this. I let you guess what is this picture. He sketched this in his logbook. What is this? Anyone tell me, please?
Saturn.
Saturn, exactly. This is Saturn. This is Saturn. And he see this hundreds years ago. And There's many of the technology thing invented in that period. I mean, in the Renaissance period. For example, clock. In the past, you cannot imagine how difficult human measure time. I would ask you all to imagine that if we don't have watch, we don't have clock at all, what would happen? พวกเราคิดว่าไงครับ ถ้าทุกวันนี้ทุกคนไม่มีนาฬิกาเลย ยากเลยนะ
Like obviously we cannot tell what time it is. So
Exactly.
we have to use like anything else, like the sun or the shadows, something like that.
Yes, exactly, yes. But the thing is, sun does change times to time, right? Because the position of the earth doesn't stable. It's move around the sun. That means if you track the sun, if you use the sun clock, solar clock, you cannot get exactly the time of the day in comparison to the day a month ago. This is the difficulty of the timekeeping, right? And yeah, in the 14th century, humans, people know very well about times, and they can produce this thing. This is a clock. Galileo discovered that the movement of the pendulum, right? This pendulum is related to just the length of the pendulum. It's not related to the mass. Do you realize that? I would ask you to go to the playground. มีไหมครับแถวที่พวกเราอยู่มีสนามเด็กเล่นไหม If you go to the playground and try to play the pendulum, I mean ชิงช้า I don't know how it's called in English. Play ชิงช้า with a child. Okay, and you're gonna find that the period of time that you take from the maximum point to another maximum point, I mean the period that you move gonna be the same as the small child, right? And here we have a spring, right, to compensate the friction, and the clock just keep going in the stable pace by using the trick of this pendulum. Okay. We also know about the angle, about the geometry very well. Right? You can see here, this is a very early precision protector. พวกเราใช้ไม้ protector เป็นใช่ไหมครับ ไม้ protector ไว้วัดมุม It's also described with the formula to calculate thing, and it's used with the weapon. Yeah. Newton is a very remarkable guy. He's obvious because he's one of the great scientists of our time. Right? He studied a lot of things, even in the field of optics. Newton discovered that if you use this thing, what is called? How it's called? Prism.
Prism, yeah.
Right, prism. If you pass through the white light over here, through prism, and the prism expand the light out here, you can see because of the dispersion of the light wave, you can see the 7 color. Right. And Newton also developed a systematic way to prove that, for example, red is just red. It's not composed of the different color. Okay. He put the red light into another prism, and it's just purely red came out from the prism. This is kind of proof that red light is red, and white light is the composition of all of this visible wave. And if I go back a few slides, this is the Galileo telescope. Galileo used the lens to put in theory, right? But if you want to have the more powerful magnified telescope, you cannot do that because you're gonna have, well, let's say 2 meters of the length to build one telescope, right? Newton create another different approach. It's called Newton telescope. He used the concave and the reflection to reduce the length of the telescope. As you can see here, this is about 20 centimeter. It's less than 30 centimeter. It's very compact and you can bring it with you and use it whatever you want. And if you see this schematic, this is the basic of the now of the today telescope, right? You look into this hole, and from the reflection you can find, you can see what the light that comes from the very far distance. All right. This is all about the technology in the Renaissance period. And after that, we're going to start to move on to the Baroque period, which is the life between the 17th to 18th century. It's about just 100 years, really. People start to use the wind power, especially in the Netherlands or Holland. And you can see here, we have a kind of wind-powered vehicle. Okay. In Netherlands, they're famous about the windmill, right? This is windmill. And windmill usually built of wood. And you can imagine that when you make gear out of wood, there's a lot of noise came out, right? Because each piece of wood just knock each other and produce noise. This guy, Simon Stevin, he's one of the famous mathematician. He tried to use his mathematical knowledge to redesign the tooth for better and more efficiency windmill. So this is the very early design that later developed into the gear. Right. And from his design, using the basic knowledge of the geometry and mathematics, he can come up with a low noise windmill. I would invite you all, if you have a chance to visit the Netherlands, just go to the windmill and observe it and make yourself a question how low noise it is and what is the technology behind this. I think you can access to the top of the windmill to observe the mechanism as well. It would be a good chance to visit. And in Baroque, we're gonna move next to the 18th to 19th century. In the 18th to 19th century, in England, it's called Victorian. Because why I bring this to you, because the Victorian England is a period that we have sorry, I forgot the word. The globalization, industrial revolution, and also, sorry, I forgot the English word. เขาเรียกว่าเป็นช่วงที่เขาล่าอาณานิคมนะ colonization นะครับในช่วงนี้ปี 1800 ถึง 1900 in Thailand, what is the event between the year in the 18th century to 19th century ประมาณช่วงปีไหนครับพอนึกออกไหมประมาณปีช่วง19กว่าอยู่ในช่วงไหนครับ If you would like to convert from the Christianity years to the Buddhism years, we just plus 543, right? ประมาณปี195กว่า185กว่า185กว่าก็ประมาณต้นรัตนโกสินทร์นะครับประมาณช่วงรัตนโกสินทร์นะครับในช่วงนี้ and in this figure this is the figure of Queen Victoria in the Victorian England we have a lot of inventor and scientists for example James Watt and Hargrave is one who developed a sewing machine, a weaving machine, spinning machine. We have a steam engine to produce the products like textile and also the iron furnace. And Hargrave developed the spinning and weaving machinery. We have also other guys like Luigi Galvani developed the principle of the electrical conduction, and Volta, Alessandro Volta, the principle of the electric battery. And in this period, there are three main things that encourage to the Industrial Revolution to happen. The first one is the steam engine. This one is produced by the James Watt, right? You know this already. All right. This is the weaving machine, เครื่องทอผ้านะครับ weaving machine. And another one that I didn't show in this slide, which is the steamboat. The steamboat can carry people around the world without waiting for the wind. Right? We just don't put our life to realize on the wind power. We have our own wind. We have our own energy. Okay, this one. This is steamboat. And many things happen in this period. And in this period, if you are an inventor, you have a very good chance to be rich. Because if you propose new kind of invention to society, and that invention catch on an investor eye, you can have your own business. Like James Watt. James Watt is very rich. He's a rich guy. But before his invention, he's just a normal guy. Once he's supported by an inventor, I'm sorry, I don't remember the name. And these two just start to develop the commercial version of the steam engine. Okay. And this is a period of time that some significant invention came out to the market. The first one, this is the photography. You start building the photograph device. The bicycle happened in Scotland by Kirkpatrick. Steamboat, Islamabad, Kingdom Brunel. This one I would like to say to you first here, because you are going to have an assignment today, and the task is to write about the people that you think you are impressed, people, and also the invention that you think this is a good thing. You want to study more about that, and this list you can go through. This is what you can go through. Ismabad, Kingdom Brunei. This is one of the greatest engineer in the UK. You should check his bibliology. And rubber tire invented by Robert Thomson, and so on. Kodak. This is one that I want to mention to you. Kodak box camera. Kodak is one of the leader about the photography in the past. I have an X-ray, moving picture. Lumiere brothers, you know this one, right? Typewriter, telephone, invented by the Alexander Graham Bell. Gramophone by Thomas Edison. Light bulb, right? Treadmill, also invented in the Victorian England period, but it's from a different purpose. Actually, they used for torturing a prisoner. This is the guard, the prisoner guard, and you have the prisoner try to walk for a whole day and make you work out from this. Okay, like this, you just keep walking. And once you walk, you convert from the chemical energy produced by the human into the mechanical energy for working. All right. And this is another big thing. It's called finite difference machine. This machine is regarded as the first mechanical computer in the world. It's designed and produced by Charles Babbage, this guy on the left. Okay. You can make the calculation of the polynomial equation using this machine. Actually, we expect to have a calculator as an electronic device, right? But in the past, and at the very first time, mechanical engineer is one who builds the computer. Yeah, and because of the expansion of the economy and a lot of invention came out, we come up to the thing that is called Industrial Revolution. This is the production line, and it should be the printing factory or a garment factory. And as you can see here, there is no electrical at all at the time. Right. So what we do is we just use the belt connected to the main shaft, the power shaft of the factory. You see over here, right? This is the power shaft, and the power shaft connected to the steam engine. This is what changed the life of people, because in the past we need to do the work, use our muscular power to do the work, but now we just use this energy supply from the environment, from the thing that we created. And this is called the first industrial revolution, which is lies between 17th century to the mid of the 18th century. In the first industrial revolution is the period that humans used a mechanical power to produce work. Right? The mechanical power comes in the form of water and steam power. Okay, for today, the story gonna stop at the first industrial revolution, and we have another lecture about the industrial revolution. Specifically about the industrial revolution, we're gonna discuss that in detail later. Okay. Any questions or any idea about the lecture today? มีไหมครับ จะเห็นว่าตั้งแต่ในอดีตมานะครับจนถึงปัจจุบันเนี่ยจริงๆแล้วถ้านับช่วงเวลาเนี่ยครับ if you consider the period of time it's just about 200 or 300 years มันไม่ได้แบบว่ายาวนานมากนักตั้งแต่เราเนี่ยครับตั้งแต่ยุคนี้มานะครับนับตั้งแต่ปลายยุคนี้ดีกว่านะครับเนี่ย1,700 ปี1,700เนี่ยนะครับเพราะว่าพวกนิวตันเนี่ยก็จะอยู่ในช่วงเท่าไหร่แล้วเนี่ยประมาณ1,600 1,700แล้วนะครับประมาณเนี่ย300 ปีเองนะครับ300 ปีเองชีวิตมันเปลี่ยนไปเยอะมาก Anyone has an idea about this period ทำไมมันหายไป1,000 ปีมีไหมครับทำไมอยู่ๆมันหายไป1,000 ปีสังเกตไหมแล้วเขาไปทำอะไรกันนานมากเลยเนี่ยนะครับอันนี้ก็คือเป็นชื่อเรียกนะครับถ้าเกิดเรารู้เรื่องพวกนี้บ้างมันก็สนุกดีนะครับก่อนหน้านี้ ancient I mentioned that we start to construct the sign right คือ Archimedes Plato พวกนี้นี่คือเป็นนักปราชญ์ philosopher นักปราชญ์นะครับแล้วพอเข้าสู่ยุคนี้นะครับก็คือเราหายไปเลยพวกองค์ความรู้ต่างๆถูกละทิ้งหายไปหมดนะหายไป1,000 ปีนะครับยุคนี้ก็จะเป็นยุคที่เหมือนยุคอัศวินนะครับในหนังที่มีศาสนาจักรมีคิงดอมอย่างเงี้ยนะครับแล้วก็จะประชาชนก็จะถูกปกครองอยู่ในภายใต้ศาสนาจักรเป็นหลักนะครับนั้นใครที่แบบว่าไปนำเสนอไอเดียที่แปลกแหวกแนวก็โดนจับนะครับกาลิเลโอนะผมพอมาถึงตรงนี้เราเมนชั่นถึงกาลิเลโอนี้เป็นตอนปลายอย่างนี้เราต้องเรียกเป็นตอนปลายของ Middle Age กาลิเลโอนี้ก็โดนจับนะครับไปอ่านประวัติศาสตร์เขานะครับโดนจับไปขังคุกเพียงแค่ว่าเขาเป็นคนที่เหมือนว่าเป็นคนดังนะครับก็โดนจับขังคุกแล้วเดี๋ยวก็ปล่อยออกมาอะไรประมาณนั้นนะครับมีกาลิเลโอก็อยู่ในช่วงมีกาลิเลโออยู่นี่นะครับโดนจับนะครับแล้วเขาก็เป็นคนนำเสนอเหมือนกันนะครับเรื่องของว่าโลกไม่ได้เป็นศูนย์กลางจักรวาลแต่ว่าเป็นนะครับเป็นดวงอาทิตย์อยู่ศูนย์กลางอะไรอย่างเงี้ยนะครับคือเมื่อก่อนใครเถียงโดนจับหมดนะครับก็เลยหายไปประมาณ1,000 ปี Okay. Next, I'm going to explain about the assignment. This one asking you to read and summarize. The task is find the topic of your choice. Okay, about person or invention. ที่เมื่อกี้เราคุยกันมานะครับว่ามีใครที่เราฟังแล้วนะครับได้สร้างแรงบันดาลใจแล้วก็น่าอยากจะไปหาข้อมูลต่อนะครับไม่ได้จำกัดอยู่แค่ในเรื่องราวที่เราพูดมาเมื่อกี้นะครับก็ แล้วแต่พวกเราเลยนะครับ เพียงแค่ว่าให้ไปอ่านแล้วก็สรุปมาด้วยภาษาของเราเองนะครับเลคเชอร์นี้มีเป้าหมายคือสร้างแรงบันดาลใจให้พวกเรานะครับก็ให้พวกเราเห็นว่าวิชาชีพที่เรากำลังทำอยู่เนี่ยมันที่เรากำลังจะเรียนแล้วก็เรียนจบออกไปเรากำลังจะไปดำเนินไปประกอบอาชีพเนี่ยมันมีที่มาที่ไปยังไงนะครับแล้วก็มีใครที่แบบว่าน่าจะเป็นแรงบันดาลใจให้เราได้บ้างนะครับก็ลองไปหาดูนะครับไม่จำเป็นจะต้องเป็นนิวตันไม่จำเป็นต้องเป็นใครอย่างที่เมื่อกี้ผมยกตัวอย่างคนนี้จริงๆ บรูเนลนี้ก็ผมก็เพิ่งรู้จักมาประมาณสักไม่กี่ปีนี้เองนะครับรู้จักเขา ไม่ใช่รู้จักเป็นการส่วนตัวนะรู้จักจากเรื่องราวของเขานะครับคือเขาเป็นคนเก่งมากคนนี้ ผมแนะนำให้ลองไปหาดูนะครับแล้วก็เขียนมา1 หน้ากระดาษ A4 นะครับมีฟอร์แมตตามนี้ชื่อเอาลิงก์ที่เป็นออริจินอลแปะไว้ตรงนี้ของพวกเราให้เขียนเป็นภาษาอังกฤษนะครับอ่านไม่เอา copy แปะนะย้ำอีกครั้งหนึ่งอ่านตกผลึกด้วยตัวเราเองเขียนเป็นภาษาพวกเรานะครับคือพวกเราเนี่ยถูกคาดหวังว่าเราจะต้องเขียนภาษาอังกฤษเยอะนะครับมันก็ฝึกตั้งแต่ตอนนี้แหละนะครับแล้วผมจะพยายามตรวจแล้วก็แก้ไขให้นะใครที่มีความสามารถดีอยู่แล้วก็ดีนะครับแต่ถ้าเกิดใครที่ยังรู้สึกไม่แน่ใจไม่มั่นใจก็ถือโอกาสพวกนี้ฝึกซะนะครับเมื่อเขียนเสร็จแล้วนะครับให้เซฟเป็น PDF นะครับให้ตั้งชื่องานเป็นรหัสนักศึกษาของพวกเรานะครับ63xxx นะครับ .pdf หลังจากนั้นให้ ให้ submit ไปที่ขออภัยนะครับ ให้ submit ไปที่ e-learning นะครับพวกเราทุกคนน่าจะเข้า e-learning ได้หมดแล้วนะครับ source of information นะครับก็ที่หาได้ก็ encyclopedia Wikipedia ต่างๆนะครับไม่ได้จำกัดอยู่แค่1 A4 นะครับก็ถ้าใครชอบรู้สึกว่าอยากเขียนเพิ่มก็เขียนมานะครับไม่มีปัญหาอะไรโอเคครับ any questions or discussion ปันครับ
ครับผมงงอยู่นิดนึงอันนี้ภาษาอะไรเนาะโอเคพูดคือจะ submit ตรงไหนครับพอดีผมเข้าไปแล้วไม่มีที่ให้ส่ง
อยู่ในเดี๋ยวผมเปิดให้เดี๋ยวจะมีที่ส่งครับ
ครับได้ครับครับ
คนอื่นมีไหมครับถ้าไม่มีก็วันนี้เลคเชอร์เอาไว้แค่นี้นะครับ and we can finish this lecture today and stop sharing first and I'll see you again next week
อาจารย์คะงานนี่ส่งได้ถึงวันไหนหรอคะ
1 สัปดาห์ครับถึงวันพฤหัสหน้าโอเคครับงั้นวันนี้เอาไว้แค่นี้นะครับ
สวัสดีค่ะอาจารย์
สวัสดีครับ
สวัสดีครับ
ครับสวัสดีครับ
สวัสดีครับผม
สวัสดีครับ